Hi everyone! So I just wanted to jump on here and do a quick video. I don't actually think it'll be that quick. However, I'm here and I want to speak about something that I think you guys will really appreciate. So as some of you might know or not know, I'm not really entirely sure, I am pregnant currently. I am 5 months pregnant and I'm expecting a baby in December. So I recently announced the news on Instagram and I really felt the need to share my personal experience with you guys, just because I feel like this might help people in the future, or if you're expecting a baby it might help a little bit. But I wish I would have watched a video like this before I even fell pregnant. So after announcing the news and speaking to family and friends about everything, just things about like my personal experience during the first couple of months or weeks even, just had a bit of a personal light bulb moment or realization moment, and I just feel like I didn't know what to really expect within the first couple of weeks. And I think the thing that made it slightly worse was the fact that I didn't tell anybody about my pregnancy up until week 12. And the reason for that was with the whole COVID thing, I couldn't really see anybody face to face. So I didn't want to announce through text or through a phone call or rocking up to someone's house at the doorstep where you can't even hug people. I didn't want to do it like that. I didn't want to announce it that way. Can you imagine, like, Mom, I'm pregnant, through text or not even face to face? It's just so wrong. So those first couple of weeks I did feel a little bit alone, I guess you could put it, because I've got a lot of friends around me that have had babies, like all my best friends have had children, but I've never had the conversation with them kind of in detail about what they actually did once they found out they were pregnant. Like, I guess you ask the question like, what did you do when you found out? Like, were you excited? What did you do? Did you tell your partner? That's the question you ask. You never actually ask, or you don't even know, what do you do when you see that pregnancy test says positive? What are the next steps? What did you expect, or what should I even expect? That's something that I feel, if you haven't personally gone through it with somebody like a sister or someone really, really close to you, you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't really know what to expect either. So after talking to a friend about this experience, if you like, she kind of made me realise the fact that what I felt, maybe a lot of girls will feel, women and girls will feel. She was like, "Itzy, you know what? You are so right. I don't actually know what I would do, and I've never been educated in that side of things, and that is something that we've never been taught, or that's common knowledge. It's a bit of a weird one." So yeah, that is the reason that I actually at first I wanted to do the video, just to share my experience, and it will be so different to every other person's experience. Like, nobody is the same, and that's something that I really want you to keep in mind throughout this video. Like, one person's experience can be completely different to somebody else's, whether it be their symptoms during the first couple of weeks, whether it be just the whole journey. Like, it's so different for everybody. And I think I was a little bit naive when it came to stuff like this, because I've only really spoken to like my best friends about it, but again, it's not in that much detail. So when it did happen to me, I really didn't know what to expect as such, and you feel like you do. I feel like if somebody said to me before falling pregnant, "Itzy, do you know what to expect, and do you feel ready?" I'd have been like, yeah, I do. Like, I've spoken to a lot of people, I totally know, I'm cool with that. But really, it hits you hard, and not having that ability to talk to people straight away about it in the first, I think even the first 2 weeks is scary by yourself. So yeah, that's why I wanted to share this with you guys. So don't just watch this video if you're pregnant, watch this if you're not pregnant, because it will help you for when you do fall pregnant, hopefully, fingers crossed, one day. So firstly, I'm going to take it right back to the beginning. And a lot of people asked me if I was trying to conceive, if I was trying for a long time, like just my situation really. And just so you know, I wasn't planning on falling pregnant. Obviously, me and Riz just got married in October. We were just settling into our house together. and we were actually looking forward to a honeymoon. We haven't got that booked yet, but we were thinking, oh well, that's our next step, definitely go on honeymoon, maybe in summertime, like August, September, and then after that maybe we'll think about kids and stuff like that. So when it did happen, it was a complete surprise. I didn't expect it whatsoever, and I actually found out I was pregnant probably, I think it was week 5. That's when I initially found out. So I was 5 months pregnant. Whoa, not 5 months, 5 weeks.
I don't even know what I was saying. Hang on, let me think.
Yeah, conceiving. So no, I wasn't trying to fall pregnant. And I know a lot of people have reached out to me with regards to just their own personal stories, or like people in the know, they're trying to fall pregnant and they haven't been able to for however many years. I've tried IVF and everything, and my prayers go out to you guys. I literally would just love to send you all so much love and hope, and yeah, just prayers that you do fall pregnant, your wishes do come true. A lot of people ask me for tips and if I was actually doing anything different. Obviously I've always exercised, like that's been part of my life forever. I've always exercised and I've always eaten healthy, so I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm really not sure, guys. We're all different, so I really don't know if something works for somebody else, might work for another person. I have no idea, and I'm no expert either, so I'd rather not comment on that. Okay, so backtrack. So I found out I was pregnant around 4 to 5 weeks. I think deep down I knew probably straight away after missing my period, because I'm usually like clockwork. What had happened was, obviously I missed my period, and then my main symptoms were hormonal really. So I was super hormonal, and I remember it like yesterday. So me and Riz were watching a film called Lion on Netflix, and it's amazing. I'd highly recommend it. After the film I was like crying for like an additional, it's a really sad film, but I was crying for an additional like 2 hours after. Like I couldn't stop myself from crying. And I remember Riz patting me on the back saying, come on, it's fine, just let it out, you must be having one of those days, just keep crying, it's here. And I was like, oh, and I just couldn't stop. Like the movie was emotional anyway, but yeah, it lasted more than usual. But then I just simply put it down to the fact that it was a time of the month. I was like, no, I'm due on, I'm always like hormonal 2 or 3 days anyway, so it's fine. So that was that. But then I thought, no, that was a little bit much, so yeah, something's up. And then the next time when I thought that something was a little bit off was when, I feel like men need to shut their ears if they're listening, I felt pain in my breasts really. They felt really sensitive, and I was like, that is not normal for me. Like I know some girls and some women get that all the time when they're kind of due on, but for me it was really different. Like I've never felt that. Oh, just kicked my camera. I'm no good at this vlogging stuff, like, oh, okay. So yeah, so I've never really felt that. So I remember running down the stairs like I normally would, which I'm like jumping around, and then I was like, oh god, that's not normal. Like I've never felt that pain before. I thought maybe it's the time of the month again, put it down to that. I thought, yeah, it's just probably extra hormones this month or whatever. And then I remember like after 3 days of that, I had to like slowly walk down the stairs because it was so painful. I remember like be like, oh, it hurts, and rolling around in bed as well because I sleep on my front, so that pressure there was like something I've not felt before. So yeah, I kind of felt like I knew probably 2 weeks into it, because I feel like us women just know our bodies so well, and we just need to learn how to trust our gut. But sometimes you do think, you put it down to obviously the time of the month, or you do think, no, I'm being over dramatic, like it's not a thing. But yeah, I felt like I knew. So then I took another 2 weeks to kind of get my head around it, and obviously then I was probably 2 weeks late for my period. So then I was like, obviously this is not normal. And during this time, these like 4 weeks, I was training and working out so much at home. Like, me and Riz were going on runs, I was doing weight training, like we were on one. And I remember my diet was super strict as well, because I was like, I'm gonna smash it during lockdown, let's do this, Riz. And he was like, yeah, let's go. So I remember that time was, yeah, it was a bit of a blur really, but I do remember that I woke up one morning to do a workout and I was laying down and I got up to do like a sit-up or something. I was like, oh, my breakfast or like my water, whatever I've just had before, it was literally my throat. So I was like, no, I definitely feel sick. But that night I mentioned to Riz, okay, I think something's up here, we need to get a pregnancy test. So then we took the test and it was positive. Well, we took multiple tests, so we were quite confident that it was accurate, because we had taken like, I think maybe 4 tests or 5 tests, something like that. So we rung the doctors and I said to the receptionist, oh, I think I might be pregnant. And she was like, okay, well, the doctor will give you a call back. So I was like, okay, cool. So I expected to be invited into the clinic and to maybe have, I don't know why I thought this, maybe just have a one-to-one with the doctor and for them to double check that I was pregnant. But they didn't. They rung me back. The doctors were like, okay, have you done a pregnancy test? I was like, yeah, I have. And then they were like, great, that's fine, that's all you need to do. Okay, so we're going to send you the number across for the hospital and you need to ring up and tell the midwives you're pregnant and they'll take the bookings from then. So I was like, okay, do I not need to see anybody? They were like, no. And then maybe gave me a little bit of advice and then he asked me how I was feeling. And at the time, when I found out, I was fine. I didn't have any sickness or anything. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm cool. And everything's good. And then he says, okay, start looking into taking vitamins and the foods to avoid while you're pregnant. But everything can be found online. So Google it and look at the booklet. And I was like, okay. So that was that. And I felt like it was really brief. Like it wasn't very... like it wasn't long at all and it wasn't really an in-depth conversation. And then it took me probably about a week or maybe even longer to get through to the midwives at the hospital to register my pregnancy. So from the time that I spoke to the doctor to the time that I was trying to ring the hospital, yeah, it was like probably a week, and that was a week that I started with sickness really, really bad. So I felt really kind of alone at that point. I was like, oh, I don't even know if I'm eating enough to keep the baby. I honestly thought to keep the baby alive. Like, I can't even eat anything. I could just about drink water and maybe stomach like a cracker a day. Like, it was really bad that first week. And it was really odd. It was like the moment I found out I was pregnant, from that day on, the next day it was like, boom, morning sickness, there you go, it's here. And I was like, whoa, I'm not ready for it. So yeah, that was that. So that was my first week, which was really awful. And bless Riz, like, he didn't know what was going on, and he's not really been around that many babies or seen people within the first week or whatever. So we were both kind of, it was like the blind leading the blind. Like, we didn't know what we were doing. And again, my main worry was definitely, is the baby okay? Like, that time, those first couple of weeks are so crucial for the baby's survival. Like, that's when obviously you're higher risk at having a miscarriage. So for me, when I was puking and being sick and not being able to eat, I was just so worried, like really, really worried, and again felt really alone. So what I ended up doing was calling the doctor back again and saying, I can't get through to the midwives to register the pregnancy and I'm feeling really sick. Is there anything that I can do? And they were like, no, not really. Are you keeping fluids down? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay, if it gets really, really bad, you need to call us back, but if you can keep fluids down, then that's fine. So from that conversation, I was like, okay, I'm keeping fluids down, it must be okay, baby must be safe, and I'm just being dramatic, like everybody must go through this. However, I remember speaking to so many of my friends and none of them suffered with morning sickness. So I was like, in one way I was like, it's fine, it's here, just get on with it, it's normal. And then the other way I was like, surely this is not normal because I feel like I'm dying. But thinking about it, I was just literally like, get on with it, it's here, you're not the worst off. Like, Riz is here with you, you're in lockdown, you're not having to do your normal work. And I've heard of hyperemesis, I think it's called, where it's severe morning sickness when people go into dehydration and they get put on a drip because they're obviously that dehydrated that they can't even keep fluids down and they're just being sick constantly. So I was like, I definitely haven't got that because I'm keeping fluids down and I'm being sick a handful of times, but the full day I'm just feeling nauseous. And after about a week of that, I managed to get through to the midwives and they did a thorough consultation with me and Riz. I think it was more aimed towards the medical history of both our family's side, like they asked us about previous family history of diabetes and heart problems and things like that. So it was quite thorough, it was a good checkup, and that really kind of put me at ease. And obviously I was able to speak to the midwife and I spoke to her about the morning sickness, well, about the sickness, and she just reassured me that as long as I was keeping fluids down and eating like a minute bit, it's fine, like baby will be okay. She did obviously recommend the vitamins to take throughout the pregnancy and everything. So I decided to go for these, I'll show you them. And it's called Pregnant Care Max. And basically it's folic acid, which will tell you to take from the beginning as soon as you find out you're pregnant. Calcium, vitamin D and omega-3 as well. So I take 3 tablets a day, 2 green ones and then 1 omega-3 tablet, which is here but you can't really see it. I got those and I think I got them from Amazon, but I think you can get them pretty much everywhere. So that was that with the midwife. We had that conversation. Then she booked me in for my 12-week scan. But obviously from being like 4 to 5 weeks pregnant to 12 weeks, I was like, surely like there's another appointment in between that you need to see me before. Again, thinking this is a crucial time for babies. There's so many times that obviously people have miscarriages during this time, and I was just really scared. And she was like, no, we don't need to see you until the 12 weeks. I had that conversation, everything was booked, and then they just kind of leave you to it. So from obviously week 5 or 4, I can't really quite remember, to week 12, I was still being severely sick and the nausea was so bad. So I used to have days where I'd go to bed, well, wake up in bed, stay in bed, and then I'd have a window of maybe an hour and a half. Usually it was like 3 to 4, and then as the days went on it was like it got later, so 3 to 4, then it was 4 to 5 of hours, like pockets of time where the nausea went and I was like, oh, I need to eat. So during that time I genuinely for the first 12 weeks didn't eat anything but crackers with butter on it, Snacker Jacks. Like I had a lot of Snacker Jacks, especially salt and vinegar. I just wanted something that was like really sour, that just, I don't know, really tart and sour. What else? Fruit. I had loads of fruit, like really refreshing fruits. And sometimes smoothies, I try and like blend the fruit up and have that if I wanted like a lot of fruit. Rice and noodles. I used to eat a lot of noodles. Riz used to make the best chicken noodles for me. They didn't taste of anything but chicken. And my triggers were smells, especially greasy food and curry, like anything spicy. And it's just so weird because prior being sick, me and Riz were cooking like loads and loads of new dishes, like his mum's recipes and loads of kind of desi dishes, like everything with spice. And as soon as I fell pregnant, that was it. Like the smell of like spice masala was disgusting to me. It was like horrendous. That was my trigger. So this smell of cooking was just the worst thing. And obviously they say that your smell is heightened anyway during pregnancy, but yeah, that was the worst thing. So I used to sit outside for hours just breathing in normal air, like outside air. I used to go on a lot of walks as well to try and distract myself from the fact that I felt really poorly. And me and Riz used to go out for a lot of drives just to get that fresh air in the car. I felt like I tried to do everything to try and avoid being at home. So the minute my eyes opened, Riz was like, come on, let's go for a drive. And try to do things that were normal, like go to Starbucks and going for walks and stuff. But I felt so rough doing all these things. I remember being in the drive-through in Starbucks and getting out of the car and running to the other side of the car park to be sick. And then just to distract myself, I just got back in the car. I was like, it's fine, because just try and get on with life, obviously, as hard as it is. Also, drinking water, I think, really helped. I used to drink so much water, and it was always filtered water because I just found that tap water taste is so different. Also, eating small amounts of food throughout the day also helped, like tiny portions. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this. I used to eat PELVIC biscuits in bed before getting out of bed, because I say that helps settle sickness. So just having like a breakfast bar cereal thing before even getting up to go to the toilet or anything like that really helped me. And I never actually brought that back up. Like, I was never that sick in the morning, it was more towards the end, midday, sorry. So that really helped me. I'm trying to think of other things. These really helped. I've only got the one, I don't know where the other one's gone, but I lived in these. They are called sickness bands, and as you can see, it's really worn. I didn't take this off for like 12 weeks, and I washed them once because I couldn't survive without them. I don't know why I didn't get more than one pair. Like, it was so weird. I was just obsessed with wearing these. So you just put them kind of here around your wrist. I'll just show you. And it's the pressure point of this little plastic bit that helps suppress your sickness. Well, that's what they say. And it did actually help me. Whether it was a mental thing or not, I don't know, but it worked. So you wear them, like they say, to do like 3 fingers down from there. It doesn't really look in the middle, but it is. And you put them in the middle here, and that presses into your wrist, which is a pressure point to help with sickness. So I used to wear them on both arms, and they're great as well because I used to be able to hide them, even though I always showed them about by accident, but nobody ever knew. So they're like a must buy. I would definitely get these. And I honestly tried every ginger biscuit out there, ginger tea, ginger, everything, and that didn't help. So I think you just have to find what works well for you. That's obviously if you get sickness, and wow, if you don't get that, you are blessed. But yeah, for those people that need that help, these were really good. But yeah, I did find it really hard, like those first couple of weeks, because one, I wasn't able to speak to people and they just assumed that I was okay. I think just being in lockdown and being out of your normal life anyway, like out of your normal structure and everything, and personally not being able to dance or work out was a struggle. I know it sounds so stupid, like that is the last thing I should be thinking about, but when it becomes part of your life and it's part of kind of your release and you do it for your mental well-being as well, then it becomes a struggle. Like, it was definitely hard. Like, I found it hard being indoors anyway, not kind of leading my own life. And I bet people are watching this video like, it's you don't even know how lucky you are to be pregnant. Why the hell are you even complaining? And I totally get that, but this is, I'm not trying to like gain any sympathy or anything. I just want to kind of make people aware of my experience, but theirs might be completely different. So it's just that awareness, really. I don't want any sympathy, none at all, to be fair, because I've seen people with severe sickness, and I bow down to them. Like, I literally would get on my knees and kiss their feet because I do not know how they do it. So yeah, I'm kind of going off track here, right? Let's bring it back. Gets to our 12-week scan. So obviously with COVID, we found out that Riz was not allowed in the NHS scans. So at first we were kind of like, it'll be fine, it's okay, there's nothing we can do about it. Hopefully by the time we reach the 12-week scan, it'll be sorted. And I don't know why, but like the week before my scan, I said to Riz, I don't feel comfortable, I've got such a bad baby brain. I don't feel comfortable going into the scan without you seeing the baby with me first. So why don't we book a private scan? And he was like, that is a really good idea. And I don't know why we both didn't think of that earlier. But I remember it was so weird. We managed to get a scan the day before our NHS scan. And it was literally only one in like the whole of West Yorkshire, because I think clinics only opened that week or something. It was really crazy. So thank God we were able to do that. So we booked to go to the private scan, and it's called Window to the Womb, and there's a lot of different clinics out there. They're all fabulous. I've read lots of reviews on a lot. This was just the company that had the one appointment, and I was ready to go anywhere just to be able to see the baby with Riz for the first time. So we ended up traveling to Manchester and we had that appointment. It was really, really lovely. Like, it was so perfect. And I remember going into the scan room and being like, this is weird. Like, I don't even know how to feel, because you kind of are still in denial a little bit. Like, you hasn't processed yet that you're fully pregnant, because you don't have like your tummy and you don't feel baby. So it's a little bit odd. But then as soon as the baby is on the screen, you're like, what? That is growing inside of me, and it survived on crackers and Snacker Jacks. Like, what the hell? This is crazy. And you just have that moment of realization that it's happening. And I think a lot of people will kind of be with me on this one, that they don't feel like they're pregnant until that scan. Like, that kind of solidifies everything. You're like, oh my god, it's actually there. It was really, really lovely. They print out the pictures, and we even got like a recording of the full scan sent to our iPhones. It was just really, really nice. So the next day we then went to the NHS scan at the hospital, and this is the one that Riz obviously wasn't allowed in for. So we went in, sat down, and everybody's obviously really far away from each other because social distancing. You get called into the room, and then prior, obviously you have to drink lots of water, like a litre I think, an hour before. And I just remember this one being really, really thorough. And with this one you can also opt in or opt out to additional checks. I think one of the additional checks was the Down syndrome check, and there's another one as well. So I opted into both of those, and then after, you wait for the results, and they come within a week, I think. Actual checks are still done with the same sonographer, so you don't have to have any different kind of test to get those results. After your 12-week scan, you go into the room, you have your scan, you go back into the waiting area, and they call you again. And then you have your bloods taken, and they also measure your weight. Do they do anything else? That's all they do. And then after that, you go back to reception and you then book your 20-week scan date. And then that was that. I was given a folder, and that had my like little notes in there with my pictures. And then that was that. We had those checks, and thank goodness all the checks were okay. Then decided to tell our family about the baby, because it was 12.5 weeks or so, and I remember the restrictions were lifted, so we could see 6 people, I think, outside it was at the time. And you still weren't allowed indoors though, so we had to do everything outdoors. I managed to see everybody, and we did it individually with everybody, and we had a surprise reveal for every person, so it worked out amazing. Everybody's worked out really, really well. And from 12 weeks to 20 weeks, I then had one midwife appointment, and again that was a phone consultation because of the whole COVID thing. That was still necessary that we did it on the phone. We couldn't go into practice. She just asked me how I was feeling, and then she went through the notes and said, was everything okay with the scan? And that was pretty much it. And then if I had any other questions, I could ask what questions I had. And at the time, I think I only asked about my protein shake, if I could still drink protein shake, because I couldn't really stomach food, but I fancied a protein shake. So yeah, she said they were safe to drink. And then I also asked her about exercise, like if it was still safe to exercise and dance during this time. And she said 100%, whatever you were doing before falling pregnant, so if you were dancing and exercising, you just keep doing that if you can, but don't start a new sport. So you don't want to push your body out of its comfort zone in a way. And no contact sports, obviously, either, like karate. What else is a contact sport? Like netball, rugby, that kind of thing, where you could potentially get hit. So that's something that's out of the question. And at this time, during the 12 to 20 weeks, that period, I started to feel better at 17 weeks. So like 13, 14, 15, 16 was still a no-go. Like I was still poorly, it wasn't good. I still wasn't eating any like normal meals. I think probably the only meals I used to kind of eat are a bit of rice, and I used to eat fish. I tried to get a little bit of fish in there, and salads. Like I always ate salads and fruit, so I was snacking on those kind of things. and protein shakes as well, and I was still not exercising obviously because I just couldn't. And then from weeks 17 to 20, where I am now, I have started to feel so much better. Like, thank God, I've got my appetite back. Not fully, but there's some things that I would eat now that I wouldn't have eaten before. The appetite thing, I feel like you lose your appetite completely and you have to just eat what you feel you want. Whatever you crave is probably what your body just needs. So I had a lot of people asking me like, Itzia, what did you eat during pregnancy? I would just say, obviously try and eat healthy, like try and get your 5 a day in there, and lots of fruit and water and vegetables. However, anybody can say that to you, but during pregnancy, I feel like you can only eat what you want to eat. That's something that I've really learned, that Riz used to be like, it's here, try this, have this, and usually I'd be like yamming it in, like, oh yeah, because I love food. But I noticed I was like, no, ew, I don't fancy that, or no, I don't fancy that. Like, I went off sweet stuff, and I usually eat so much sweet stuff. Like, I love chocolate and puddings and everything, but I never really touched those during the past couple of months. So yeah, nobody really can tell you what you should and shouldn't eat. Obviously, when it's not safe for baby, like eating too much tuna and things like that, don't eat that. But you can only eat what your appetite is telling you to eat, and that's something that has really stood out to me. I feel like so many things are coming back to me whilst I'm talking about this video, about what's happened the past couple of months. It's really odd. What else can I advise you on? Let me go back to my notes. So in a nutshell, first trimester, I feel like you kind of come into terms with the pregnancy and you're finding what your triggers are with regards to sickness if you have it, or if you don't. I don't really know what somebody else's experience is like, so I can't really comment. But my first trimester was really just trying to focus on myself and getting through it, if I'm honest, and also coming to terms with the fact that I'm pregnant and trying to learn about everything. And second trimester is when I've started to really think about labour and trying to educate myself a little bit more. So with regards to the antenatal classes, I've attended, I think, 4 so far with 2 separate companies. So the first company is called Blossom Antenatal, and I'll link the website below. And they're a charity of midwives and specialists, and they obviously hold Zoom calls. And I think the first one's free, and then after that it's £10 a session, which is still not a lot. I think it's for like 2 hours, sometimes it's an hour, I'm not entirely sure. I did their breastfeeding antenatal class, and that was really good. It was a lovely woman that held that, and that was really informative. And then I think I've done another one as well with them, but they're really, really good. And the second one is called Let's Talk Birth and Baby, and I've done 2 of theirs as well. I did actually reach out to the lady who runs these to try and get you guys like a discount code or some special offer, but she didn't want to kind of do that, so that's awkward. But saying that, she's still really good. But I think, guys, there's lots online available. Like, if you just type in Google, this is all I did, I typed in Google just something like antenatal online classes, and then read the reviews, and there was actually 3 or 4 more that I should have looked at, but I'm too lazy to look into it too much. And I think if they've got like a free session, definitely do that, because you get to kind of know the people first, and if you engage with them or not, before kind of paying the session charge, which is obviously £10. And I've also listened to Stacey Solomon's podcast, and it was so insightful, so I would highly recommend that. Even to those people that are not pregnant and they just want to educate themselves a little bit, I think it's so good. Like, it really kind of drew me in. It really opened up my mind to kind of different scenarios and situations you can be put in, pre-labour, like in the run-up to labour and during labour and after labour. That's something that I would definitely tell people to go listen to. I'll link that below as well. What else have I done? I think, oh, do you know what I watched? Something on Netflix called, I think it's just called Babies. That was so good. It's a bit long and drawn out, but it's really, 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 really insightful, and it basically like explains about baby's development, like as soon as they come out of the womb, how they develop into the person that they become. And I think I'm on episode 4 of that. It goes through everything, like how breastfeeding develops the babies, how babies learn to crawl and stuff like that. So that was really, really insightful. Anything else? And apps. I'm gonna have to put the apps down below because I'm obviously recording on my phone right now, so I can't even show you. So I've been using an app called Pregnancy Plus, and that's really, really good. It tells you like the weekly stages of the baby. And an app called Peanut. It's like a forum of hundreds and hundreds of mums and pregnant mums as well, and it's so insightful. Like, you read all these comments about what people are going through at the same time as you. I actually learned so much about the COVID situation because there was a group on there called December Babies, I think, and I'm part of that group. You won't be able to find me because I'm under like a really weird name, like I'm incognito, just because how many Itzies are there like in the UK, I don't really know. So I'm under something else. But basically everybody used to post on this group. It's almost like a bit of a Facebook, but for just about babies, about their experience going into the scans and stuff like that. So I remember reading people's experiences just before I was going to go in my scans, like 3 or 4 days before, so I knew what to expect, and then I could ask questions and things like that. They talk about when babies kick in and how many weeks they are, so you can kind of like compare experiences and the journey in a way, although sometimes it's not good because you're like, oh my god, she's the same weeks as me and baby's not kicked for me and it has for her, but so you can't get like too hung up on that side of things, but it's still really, really interesting. And I guess it's like a little bit of reassurance to have people there that don't know you and you don't know, and you can just ask them any question. But it's really lovely. That I really recommend downloading Pregnancy Plus, and plus is like a plus sign, Pregnancy Plus and Peanut. So they're my top tips. I think that's all for now, guys. This has been such a long video, I can't get over it. And I'm not even used to talking to like the camera by myself with a ring light. It's just really odd. I don't even know if you'll enjoy this, but it's here in case you do want to listen to it. Just one last thing, guys, that you requested from me that I've not mentioned or really spoken about that much is the workouts and pregnancy side of things. Hiccups, sorry. You don't know they're coming, and it's like an internal one. So yeah, obviously from weeks 1 to 17, I didn't do any working out, like no exercise at all. Probably just my walks I did go on, and a tiny bit of dancing when I had like really, really good days, or like a couple of hours where I felt fine. But by week 18, I started to feel okay. And the things that I really wanted to kind of build back up was mainly not really my fitness, but it was mainly kind of my strength. So I do a lot of weight training as well, and all my bits just went flabby. So my shoulders just weren't defined anymore. I don't have no biceps anymore. My legs have gone a bit jiggly, like I don't have my quads, which I'm not used to. Like, I'm used to having kind of not even a toned body, I would never say that, but just muscle definition. Like I'm used to having that, and that kind of disappeared straight away. So I was working on doing a little bit of weight training, and something that I really, really focused on was my flexibility and keeping really mobile, because I've got a previous hamstring injury, and as soon as my calves go tight or my legs go tight and I get stiff, that triggers my backache. So I've always kind of done this forever since I've been to physio, which has been like 6-7 years. I've always stretched and been really aware of my back, because I used to have really, really bad backache. But if my legs get tight at all, that triggers my backache instantly. And luckily I've not had any backache as such yet. I'm getting like a funny coccyx kind of pain, but I think that's just with my pelvis moving. I don't think there's much I can do with that. But yeah, I would say focus on those kind of exercises, so like yoga, Pilates, strength work, and obviously I did a lot of KEGAL exercises and pelvic floor exercises. I feel like this video is going to be so long if I just start talking about what my pelvic exercises are. So I will tag the video below of the video I've been using, and it has really helped me kind of build internal strength and kind of tighten those muscles that sometimes we forget about. But I'm not going to go into that too much because I'm not an expert in that area whatsoever. I just know bits from being around it, obviously due to dance. But I will put the video down below so you get a really thorough explanation on what pelvic floor exercises entail. But 100% I'm going to share with you some workouts that I've been doing recently, and the things I'm going to be doing in my second trimester, and hopefully some post-pregnancy workouts as well. And I just feel like there's not actually much out there with regards to specialist exercises for pregnant ladies in the first and second trimester. There's a couple of videos that say I don't think you should do this and the do's and don'ts, but it's not with anybody that you can really trust. So I'm definitely going to get these to you guys because I've got a really special lady that I'm hopefully going to work with, and she's amazing, and she will definitely teach us all what we need to know. Guys, I hope that was a little bit helpful. I don't know what I'm doing really. I'm just saying what I want to say in front of the camera. But one thing I do want to kind of emphasize on is not to kind of stick to everything I'm saying, because everyone's just so different. So my journey might be completely different to somebody else's. So the best thing that I would say is just talk to as many people as possible. But it is really hard in your first couple of weeks when you want to keep it a surprise. So yeah, I just hope that helped. And again, reach out to me, guys, if you've got any questions or if I can help you with anything. And I will 100% be posting videos with regards to exercises, because that's something that I feel is lacking on YouTube and on the internet really. So I really want to try and help people in that area because I struggle with that as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and please drop me some advice and comments down below. I would really appreciate some feedback, because like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And at the beginning I felt like saying, hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. What? Who do I think I am? Like, who even says that? I don't know. Just me and my iPhone and my ring light, to be fair. And if anyone watches it, it's a bonus. So, okay guys, that's enough talking for now. I'll catch you soon. Bye.